When you're looking for ways to actually treat your diabetes, make sure you stay away from the two deadliest cure diabetes lies. Jonathan got so fed up with the greedy diabetes industry robbing him blind and all the lies and false promises in the so-called cure diabetes programs that he finally decided to do something drastic. He told me I had to find a way to reverse my diabetes on my own. After all, he was an osteopathic researcher. He was an expert in finding ways to help the body heal itself. So he set out to find a way to help his own body cure itself of type 2 diabetes. First, I looked at the problem. Type 2 diabetes happens for two reasons. First, my pancreas had stopped doing its job. It wasn't producing enough insulin. Second, my body had stopped absorbing and using insulin correctly. So Jonathan needed to find a way to jumpstart his pancreas and to get his body to absorb insulin again. I found a study from Newcastle University in England, he said. They'd tested a new temporary diet to see if it could reverse type 2 diabetes, and it worked. People only had to follow this diet for a few weeks, and their type 2 diabetes disappeared. There were no more needles, no more worry. Some of the patients saw their type 2 diabetes destroyed after just 1 week. It worked because of something I call the pancreas jumpstart. Now you see, most people with type 2 diabetes have a genetic issue that causes fat to build up around the pancreas. This stops the pancreas from producing insulin. But with the pancreas jumpstart technique that they used in this study, they were able to unclog the pancreas and force it to start producing insulin again. I knew I'd found the first step of what I needed, so I recreated this temporary diet and tried it myself. It worked. My blood sugar levels were more normal. I almost never needed insulin shots. But even after the diet, Jonathan knew he wasn't done. See, he told me, that study wasn't good enough by itself to keep diabetes away forever. Actually, almost 50% of the patients had their diabetes come back in just 3 months. That wasn't good enough. I wanted to be free of diabetes forever. So I did my own studies in my own lab, and I figured out the next step to destroy diabetes. A metabolism-boosting trick to help my body regulate insulin. Study after study has shown that the higher your metabolism, the better your insulin absorption. Now, when your pancreas starts producing insulin again, your diabetes goes away. And when your insulin absorption improves, your diabetes goes away for good. Once I started using this trick, said Jonathan, I was able to go long past the 3-month mark without my diabetes coming back. But it almost didn't last. Jonathan told me how his diabetes wouldn't completely go away. His blood sugar had never been so in control, and he'd never had so much energy. But he kept having days when he almost needed an injection. His blood sugar was almost normal again, but not quite. He couldn't figure out why. And finally, one day he got lucky. I slept in, he said, and threw off my whole schedule. I ate breakfast and lunch at different times than normal. As he checked his blood sugar throughout the day, he noticed something different. It was normal. He ate his meals in that same pattern all week, and for the first time in years, his blood sugar stayed completely normal all week long. It's not just what you eat. It's when you eat. Regulating your blood sugar is about timing. Once I realized this, he said, I read every study about it I could find and tested different timings on myself. Finally, he found the perfect schedule. He figured out when to eat which foods. Jonathan finished by telling me, I haven't needed a single insulin shot in years, and my blood sugar stayed completely in control. Now, I'm embarrassed to say that at first, I was a bit rude to my friend. His 3-step pancreas jumpstart might have worked for him, but that didn't mean they would work for me. I just wanted him to leave me alone so I could feel sorry for myself. After all, diabetes had taken my freedom. It was about to take my legs, and in less than 10 years, it would take my life. Fortunately, Jonathan was patient with me. Look, you've tried everything else, he said, and I just showed you how these 3 steps work scientifically. So why not give it a chance? So that's what I decided to do. And let me tell you, I'm so glad I did. I followed Jonathan's first step, and I tried out the temporary diet to jumpstart my pancreas. In 1 week, my blood glucose level was at 130. Remember when I was in the hospital, my blood sugar was at 1,174. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Maybe I really could get rid of my diabetes. When I started step 2, my life changed. I used Jonathan's osteopathic tricks to boost my metabolism and get my body to start absorbing insulin again. After 2 weeks of using these tricks, I had the happiest day of my life. I didn't need an insulin shot all day. My blood sugar stayed normal all day long. I was actually reversing my type 2 diabetes. Can you imagine how excited I was? I told my wife at the end of the day, and she wept for joy. Jonathan told me to make sure I used the 3rd step and ate the